My friends, I want you to consider a profound truth, one that often escapes our conscious grasp. For life, every triumph and every struggle is a perfect mirror reflecting precisely what you demand from it. Think about that for a moment. If you merely accept the ordinary, if you silently consent to mediocrity, then that, my dear listeners, is precisely what the universe will deliver. But hear me now, for this is where the alchemy of achievement truly begins. The moment you choose to raise your standards, everything, and I mean everything, begins to transform. Suddenly, you find yourself magnetizing richer connections, drawing forth opportunities that once seemed beyond your wildest imaginings, and cultivating an inner fortitude, an unshakable confidence that withstands any storm. The world, in its infinite wisdom, will always rise to meet you at the level you have so boldly set. But conversely, if you choose to settle, if you compromise your innate yearning for greatness, then you are in essence surrendering the very essence of your potential. The question then becomes a defining one. Will you stand tall and demand more from yourself, thereby unlocking the limitless potential that resides within you? Or will you allow life to hand you the mere leftovers, the scraps of what could have been? The choice, my friends, is undeniably yours, and it will, without a doubt, define everything that follows. In the coming moments, we will embark on a journey together, a journey that will illuminate precisely how the conscious act of raising your standards becomes the golden key, unlocking every desire you hold within your heart. We speak not just of bigger opportunities, not merely of stronger relationships, but of limitless growth, a boundless expansion of your very being. This, my friends, is the transformative power of setting high standards. The very instant you make that conscious decision, that unwavering commitment to set high standards for yourself, a profound shift occurs within your entire being. The very way you think, the deliberate manner in which you act, the powerful way you respond to life's inevitable challenges, all of it undergoes a remarkable transformation. Your standards, often silent and unseen, are in fact the masterful architects of your destiny. They are the unwavering lines in the sand, defining with absolute clarity what you will wholeheartedly accept and, crucially, what you will unequivocally refuse. Yet how many among us, my friends, simply drift through life unconsciously accepting the shackles of mediocrity? Why? Because they have never, not once, truly demanded more from themselves. They settle for average results, not because they are incapable of more, but because the very standard for greatness has remained unstated, unset within their own minds. But I ask you now, think for a moment, truly ponder this. What if, at this very instant, you chose to raise your standards? What if you decided with absolute conviction that average is no longer and will never again be acceptable? The moment you make that decision, you will immediately begin to perceive the world through a radically different lens. Opportunities that once seemed impossibly out of reach will suddenly reveal themselves as tangible possibilities. The doors that appeared stubbornly locked will, as if by magic, swing wide open. This, my friends, is the hidden secret, the profound truth that underpins every single great achievement throughout human history. It is a relentless, unyielding commitment to ever higher standards. Imagine, if you will, that you stand at a critical crossroads in your life. One path stretches before you, inviting comfort and ease, a familiar and well-trodden territory where you simply accept things precisely as they are. The other path, however, beckons you toward challenge and growth, a demanding but ultimately rewarding journey where you demand more, far more, from yourself, and steadfastly refuse to settle for anything less than your absolute best. Which path, my friends, will you choose? Consider the Titan, Cornelius Vanderbilt. He began his remarkable journey with absolutely nothing but an unyielding vision of what he intended to achieve. His standard, though deceptively simple, was ironclad. He would be the best unequivocally, no matter the cost, no matter the obstacle. Through sheer, unadulterated determination and an absolute non-negotiable refusal to accept mediocrity, he forged an empire in the unforgiving realms of shipping and railroads, ascending to become one of the wealthiest men of his era. He did not merely hope for greatness, he demanded it, he commanded it, and the world, my friends, had no choice but to comply. Now I urge you, ask yourself this question and answer it with unflinching honesty. What standards have you personally set for your own life? Are you in every fiber of your being demanding the very best from yourself, or are you perhaps unconsciously settling for what simply comes easily? If you find yourself in the latter category, if you detect even a hint of settling, then now, my friends, is the appointed time to raise your standards. For when you do, with conviction and purpose, you will irrevocably alter the very course of your life. Higher standards by their very nature compel you to cultivate new skills, to actively seek out superior opportunities, and to align yourself with individuals who, like you, expect more, who demand more from themselves and from the world around them. The only remaining question then is this: are you truly ready to set a new elevated standard for your life? If your answer is a resounding yes, then the journey, my friends, begins right here, right now. Let us now address one of the most formidable prisons known to humanity, the one we cannot see. This is the fortress of belief, the invisible walls that cunningly confine our boundless potential. Within these unseen boundaries, dreams too often wither, and possibilities, once vibrant, shrink into insignificance. All of this, my friends, because we have at some point accepted limitations as unassailable truths. Consider the legendary Roger Bannister. Medical experts of his time, with all their learned pronouncements, declared the 4-minute mile to be a physical impossibility, even warning that such an exertion could irrevocably damage the human heart. Yet Bannister, with an indomitable spirit, simply refused to accept their verdict, their supposed limitations. When he finally crossed that finish line, etching his name into history at 3:59 white 4, he did not merely shatter a record, he shattered a collective mental barrier that had held humanity captive. And what followed, my friends, is even more astonishing. Within a mere 46 days, Australian John Landy surpassed Bannister's time. And within 3 short years, an astounding 16 other runners had accomplished what was once universally deemed impossible. This powerful pattern, this breaking of invisible chains, repeats itself throughout the grand tapestry of human history. The Wright brothers soared into the heavens when aviation experts, those who claimed to know, insisted that heavier-than-air machines could never ever fly. Thomas Edison, a beacon of persistence, conducted over 10,000 experiments before finally illuminating the world with his light bulb, even as critics derided his pursuit as utterly foolish. Catherine Switzer, a trailblazer of courage, ran the Boston Marathon at a time when women were dismissed as physically incapable of such a distance. Your limiting beliefs, my friends, often speak to you in familiar, insidious voices. I'm not talented enough. I'm too old to start. People like me don't succeed at this. Hear me clearly. These thoughts are not facts. They are merely stories, narratives you have internalized from past experiences, from childhood messages, from societal expectations, or from previous perceived failures. The human brain, in its remarkable plasticity, forms neural pathways through repetition. Each time you think I can't, you are, quite literally, strengthening that very belief. But here is the liberating truth. Neuroplasticity works both ways. You possess the profound ability to deliberately forge new pathways, to construct empowering beliefs through conscious effort and the consistent repetition of empowering thoughts. Begin this transformative process by meticulously identifying your limiting beliefs. Listen intently to your internal dialogue, especially when confronted with challenges. What excuses, what recurring narratives consistently emerge? What stories do you repeatedly tell yourself about why you cannot achieve your deepest dreams? Next, and this is crucial, question these beliefs mercilessly. Is there objective evidence, irrefutable proof, that truly supports them? Or have you simply, perhaps unconsciously, accepted them as undeniable truth? For each limiting belief, actively seek out counterexamples. Find individuals, real or imagined, who have triumphed despite facing similar, seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Then, with unwavering intention, replace those limiting beliefs with empowering alternatives. Instead of the resigned "I'm too old" declare, "My experience bestows upon me advantages that others simply do not possess." Instead of the self-defeating "I always fail" assert, "Each attempt, regardless of outcome, teaches me something profoundly valuable." Then take small, consistent actions that directly contradict your ingrained limiting beliefs. Every single step forward, no matter how seemingly insignificant, weakens their hold and powerfully reinforces your nascent, empowering mindset. Remember, my friends, breaking free from these self-imposed limitations is not a singular, dramatic event, but a continuous, disciplined practice. Old beliefs like persistent shadows will inevitably resurface, especially during moments of challenge or doubt. When they do, recognize them for precisely what they are, mere echoes of an outdated operating system, not the truth of your boundless potential. Your greatest achievements, your most profound triumphs, eagerly await you on the other side of these self-imposed boundaries. The question is not whether you can break free, but whether you are truly willing to try. Let us now speak of consistency, the quiet powerhouse of true greatness. Greatness, my friends, is never an accident. It is in its purest form, an accumulation. It is the compounding effect of countless small, deliberate actions repeated tirelessly over time, culminating in extraordinary achievement. While many fixate on the allure of dramatic breakthroughs, on the sudden flash of genius, true mastery, the kind that endures, emerges through the quiet, often unglamorous power of simply showing up day after day after day. Consider the remarkable capacity of water to sculpt landscapes. The majestic Grand Canyon, a testament to geological time, was not carved through a sudden cataclysmic force, but through the patient, persistent erosion of water, tirelessly working its will over millions of years. In a similar vein, your most meaningful accomplishments, your most profound contributions, will rarely spring forth from heroic bursts of sporadic effort, but rather from sustained, deliberate, and unwavering practice. Andrew Carnegie's astonishing ascent from impoverished immigrant to industrial titan stands as a powerful testament to this very principle. Beginning his journey as a bobbin boy, earning a mere $1.2 a week, Carnegie did not experience some miraculous overnight success. Instead, he methodically, painstakingly climbed through various positions at the Telegraph Company and later the Pennsylvania Railroad, mastering each role with unwavering dedication before ever daring to advance. When he finally entered the formidable steel industry, it was his consistent, unwavering application of the Bessemer process that utterly revolutionized production. While others hesitated, paralyzed by uncertainty and clinging to old ways, Carnegie acted consistently and decisively. Neuroscience, my friends, now illuminates precisely why consistency holds such transformative power. Each time you repeat an action, the myelin sheath, that protective coating surrounding those neural pathways in your brain, strengthens. This strengthening makes the execution of that action progressively easier, more efficient, and eventually entirely automatic. This profound biological process explains why initial progress often feels painfully slow, like pushing against an invisible wall. Your brain, quite literally, is building new infrastructure, forging new pathways for mastery. The true challenge, however, lies not in intellectually understanding consistency's importance, but in actively practicing it when motivation inevitably wanes, as it surely will. Motivation, by its very nature, is inherently unstable, fluctuating with your mood, your energy levels, and the ever-shifting circumstances of life. Relying solely on motivation, my friends, guarantees eventual failure, for it is a fickle mistress. Instead, truly successful individuals develop robust systems, powerful routines that make consistency possible regardless of their emotional state. Equally critical is the strategic approach of minimum viable effort. Rather than striving for perfect performance every single day, commit yourself to simply showing up, even if it's in a reduced capacity. On those difficult days, a brief 5-minute workout or the act of writing 50 words preserves the crucial chain of consistency while gracefully honoring your current limitations. Track your consistency visibly, my friends. Jerry Seinfeld's famous "Don't Break the Chain" method, where he marked a calendar each day he maintained his writing practice, creates a powerful psychological momentum, a visible testament to your progress. Few forces are more motivating, more compelling, than seeing that unbroken streak of consistent effort stretching before you. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, is the vital act of redefining consistency itself. Perfection is not the goal. Persistence. When you inevitably miss a day, when you stumble, as all humans do, the crucial skill, the defining act becomes starting again immediately, without self-punishment, without dwelling on the misstep. Champions, my friends, are not those who never fall. They are those who continuously, relentlessly return to their practice, again and again. The question then is not whether consistency works. History, with its countless examples, unequivocally proves that it does. The question is whether you are truly willing to embrace the unglamorous, often tedious daily work that invariably precedes extraordinary results. Will you continue when progress seems imperceptible, when the fruits of your labor appear distant and intangible? Will you trust the process, the unwavering power of consistent effort, when others clamor for instant gratification and tempting shortcuts? Your answer, my friends, will not only determine what you ultimately achieve, but more profoundly, who you ultimately become. Let us now delve into the transformative power of resilience. Life, my friends, rarely unfolds according to our meticulously crafted plans. Between where you stand today and where you aspire to be lies a landscape, often riddled with unexpected detours, formidable barriers, and moments of crushing disappointment. Yet within this challenging terrain, resilience emerges as the defining quality, the very essence of those who ultimately succeed. Not because they miraculously avoid failure, but because they steadfastly refuse to be defined by it. Consider the relentless pursuit of Thomas Edison in his quest for the incandescent light bulb. Each failed experiment, each shattered filament, represented not merely wasted materials but potentially wasted years of his precious life. When journalists, with their often superficial understanding, framed his arduous journey as a ceaseless series of failures, Edison famously and brilliantly reframed the entire narrative. "I have not failed," he declared with profound insight. "I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This profound shift in perspective transformed what others perceived as repeated defeat into a methodical step-by-step elimination process, leading inevitably toward breakthrough. Resilience, my friends, is far more than simply enduring hardship. It is the profound capacity to extract profound meaning from suffering, to transmute setbacks into strategic advantage, to find wisdom in the wreckage. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the unimaginable horrors of Nazi concentration camps, discovered a startling truth. Those who maintained an inner purpose, a guiding light amidst the external chaos, demonstrated remarkable survival rates. His profound observation, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves," perfectly encapsulates resilience's transformative power. Three distinct practices, my friends, characterize the exceptionally resilient. First, they cultivate realistic optimism, acknowledging difficult truths with unflinching honesty, while simultaneously maintaining an unwavering faith in their inherent capacity to overcome. Second, they nurture cognitive flexibility, the remarkable ability to reframe setbacks as temporary and specific rather than permanent and pervasive. Third, and crucially, they meticulously build strong support networks, providing both emotional sustenance during dark times and honest, often uncomfortable feedback when needed most. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, resilient individuals possess the profound understanding that struggle itself contains inherent value. Just as muscles grow stronger and more defined through the purposeful stress of resistance training, true character, develops and hardens through the crucible of adversity. The Japanese art of kintsugi, the exquisite practice of repairing broken pottery with gold-infused lacquer, offers a powerful, poignant metaphor. Rather than attempting to disguise the breaks, kintsugi highlights them, creating something more beautiful, more valuable, precisely because it has been broken and then mended with golden threads of resilience. The question facing you, my friends, is not whether you will encounter obstacles on your journey. That, I assure you, is a guaranteed certainty. The question is whether you will allow these inevitable challenges to diminish you, to shrink your spirit, or to profoundly develop you, to expand your capacity. Will you retreat into bitterness? Will you succumb to resentment when your meticulously laid plans inevitably collapse? Or will you, with courage and wisdom, extract invaluable insights from the wreckage, transforming loss into profound lessons? Will you abandon worthy goals at the very first sign of significant resistance when the path becomes steep and arduous? Or will you adapt your approach, maintain your unwavering direction, and persist? Remember, my friends, resilience is not about never falling. It is in its purest form about rising one more time than you fall. And in that persistent, unwavering rising lies the profound difference between a life characterized by frustration and a legacy defined by triumph. Now let us turn our attention to one of the most powerful forces shaping your destiny, self-belief. It is not your circumstances, not your connections, not even your innate capabilities that stand as the ultimate determinant. No, my friends, it is your unwavering belief in what is truly possible for you. Self-belief operates as both a powerful catalyst and a steadfast sustainer, transforming dormant potential into peak performance and lofty dreams into tangible realities. Without this fundamental conviction, this deep-seated trust in your own capacity, even the most extraordinary talents will lie dormant, undeveloped. But with it, my friends, seemingly ordinary individuals routinely accomplish the extraordinary. Consider the remarkable Mary Kay Ash. At the age of 45, when many begin to contemplate retirement, she, driven by an unwavering spirit and a deep-seated desire to overcome gender discrimination she experienced throughout her career, invested her entire life savings of $5,000 to launch a cosmetics company. Despite her son's lawyer advising vehemently against the venture, despite facing a business landscape overwhelmingly dominated by men, her unwavering self-belief propelled her forward, a force unstoppable. That single storefront, born of courage and conviction, blossomed into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, spanning over 35 countries and, most importantly, creating opportunities for millions of women entrepreneurs worldwide. When asked about her secret formula for success, Ash consistently emphasized one profound truth: belief. "If you think you can, she declared, and if you think you can't, you're right." The paradox of self-belief, my friends, is that it must precede evidence. You must believe in your capacity, in your inherent ability, even before you have unequivocally proven it, and that, my friends, requires profound courage. Many, far too many, wait for external validation before they allow themselves to believe, not realizing that this approach tragically inverts the natural order of achievement. As the visionary Henry Ford so succinctly noted, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Cultivating self-belief, my friends, begins with the deliberate and conscious management of your language, both internal and external. Notice, with unwavering awareness, how often you use phrases like, "I can't," "That's impossible," or "I'm not good enough." Replace these self-limiting declarations with empowering alternatives. "I'm learning how," "I'll find a way," "I'm improving daily." Your subconscious mind, a powerful and malleable force, constantly absorbs your verbal and mental declarations, treating them as explicit instructions for the creation of your reality. Equally important is the strategic act of surrounding yourself with belief reinforcers. Seek out individuals who see your potential, who believe in your capacity, even during those inevitable moments when you momentarily lose sight of it yourself. One supportive voice, one unwavering belief, can sustain you through the inevitable periods of doubt that will test your resolve. Perhaps most critical, my friends, is taking belief-lined action. Self-belief, without accompanying behavior, remains mere wishful thinking, a fleeting hope. Each action you take that is consistent with your vision, no matter how small, solidifies your belief, creating tangible evidence that powerfully supports your internal conviction. The question, then, is not whether self-belief works. History, with its undeniable triumphs, unequivocally confirms that it does. The real question is whether you will choose to exercise your inherent power to believe. Will you accept artificial limitations, self-imposed boundaries, or will you dare to believe in possibilities that transcend all current evidence, all perceived limitations? Will you wait for the elusive perfect conditions for external validation before you proceed? Or will you, like every great achiever throughout history, move forward with audacity, with an unyielding conviction that your potential awaits your belief to activate it? The time to believe, my friends, is now. Let us now consider the profound discipline of focus. In a world meticulously engineered for constant distraction, your ability to focus, to concentrate your mental energies, has become your most precious, your most indispensable resource. While attention left unchecked scatters easily across endless news cycles and the siren song of novelty, extraordinary achievement, the kind that reshapes industries and inspires generations, demands sustained concentration, an unwavering gaze upon what truly matters most. Focus, my friends, is the powerful force that transforms scattered potential into concentrated power. It is the difference between diffused sunlight, merely warming the surface, and a laser beam capable of cutting through solid steel. The human mind, remarkable as it is, fundamentally operates as a single-channel processor. Neuroscience clearly reveals that we do not in fact multitask. We merely switch attention with lightning speed. Each transition, however rapid, exacts a cognitive toll, a hidden tax on our mental energy. A University of California study, for example, found that after each interruption, workers required an average of 23 minutes to fully regain their concentration. These productivity taxes, seemingly minor in isolation, compound daily, transforming potentially profound work into fragmented mediocrity. While J.P. Morgan's contemporaries dispersed their energy across multiple disparate ventures, Morgan himself maintained a relentless laser-like focus on building financial infrastructure. This singular concentration, this unwavering commitment, enabled him to orchestrate massive industrial consolidations, to restructure failing railroads, and to establish banking systems that utterly transformed commerce itself. During the devastating panic of 1907, when Wall Street teetered on the precipice of collapse, Morgan, with unparalleled conviction, sequestered competing bankers in his library, refusing to let them leave until they had collectively crafted a viable solution. His legendary focus, my friends, quite literally saved the American economy. Focus, in its powerful efficacy, operates on three critical levels. First, there is strategic focus, which determines which mountains you will choose to climb, which overarching goals truly warrant your precious finite attention. Second, tactical focus, the deliberate act of organizing your days and weeks, ensures that every action directly advances those stated priorities. Third, and finally, operational focus governs your moment-by-moment attention management, meticulously protecting your cognitive resources from the thousand distractions that lie in ambush. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, recognize that genuine focus naturally follows passion. When you are genuinely aligned with meaningful work that ignites your soul, maintaining concentration becomes less effortful, less a struggle. This, my friends, perfectly explains why someone who is easily distracted during mundane tasks can become utterly absorbed, completely lost, in activities that truly ignite their curiosity, that speak to their deeper purpose. True focus flows naturally, effortlessly, when you have identified work that is truly worth doing. I ask you now, reflect honestly, how much of your precious day slips by in a state of distracted half-attention? How many potentially transformative projects remain perpetually unfinished, gathering dust, while you respond to a constant barrage of minor urgencies? What greatness, what profound contributions might emerge if you directed your full cognitive resources, your entire being, toward your most important, your most cherished priorities? The coming revolution, my friends, undeniably belongs to those who possess the profound capacity to cultivate focus in an age saturated with distraction. The question is not whether focused attention works, rather it is whether you are truly willing to defend this precious, irreplaceable resource as vigilantly as you would any other invaluable asset. Will you continue surrendering your attention to whatever shouts loudest, to the most insistent notification, to the most immediate demand, or will you reclaim it with intention and purpose for what truly matters most in your life? Let us now explore the art of decision-making, for life, my friends, truly unfolds through the gateway of choice. Each decision you make, whether seemingly monumental or deceptively trivial, profoundly shapes your reality with a cumulative power that few other forces can match. While some individuals simply drift passively through existence, surrendering their path to mere circumstance or the expectations of others, true masters of decision-making actively architect their destiny, crafting their future through deliberate choices that reflect their deepest values and their boldest aspirations. The quality of your decisions, my friends, ultimately determines the very quality of your life. This is not some philosophical abstraction, but a practical, undeniable reality. Your health, the depth of your relationships, the trajectory of your career, your profound sense of fulfillment, all of these are crystallized from the thousands of decisions you have made and continue to make on a daily basis. Consider the foresight of Andrew Mellon. Conventional wisdom of his time dismissed aluminum as an impractical curiosity, far too expensive for any commercial viability. Yet Mellon, with courageous conviction, made the decisive choice to finance the Pittsburgh Reduction Company. While his competitors hesitated, paralyzed by uncertainty and clinging to old paradigms, Mellon's decisive backing helped to utterly revolutionize manufacturing, transportation, and consumer goods through aluminum's widespread adoption. His decisiveness, my friends, extended far beyond aluminum. His astute banking decisions rescued countless enterprises during challenging economic downturns, and his art acquisition decisions, born of a discerning eye and unwavering conviction, ultimately laid the foundation for the magnificent National Gallery of Art. Effective decision-making in its elegant simplicity operates on three critical levels. First, there are values-based decisions, those that firmly establish your fundamental priorities, unequivocally defining what truly matters most in your life. Second, strategic decisions which determine your overarching direction and the optimal allocation of your precious resources. Third, and finally, tactical decisions, those that address the daily implementation, the moment-by-moment actions that bring your larger vision to life. Mastery, my friends, demands unwavering alignment across all three levels, ensuring that your every moment-by-moment choice powerfully advances your highest, most cherished priorities. Neuroscience reveals a crucial insight. Decision fatigue powerfully undermines judgment. Each decision, no matter how small, depletes your finite cognitive resources, thereby degrading the quality of subsequent choices. This explains why even the most brilliant individuals can make remarkably poor decisions when mentally exhausted. Counterintuitively, my friends, creating decision frameworks and routines does not restrict your freedom. It profoundly preserves it, allowing you to reserve your valuable cognitive energy for truly consequential matters. 5 distinct practices distinguish exceptional decision makers. First, they meticulously clarify their values, thereby creating powerful filters that automatically eliminate options misaligned with their core principles. Second, they gather sufficient yet not excessive information, thereby skillfully avoiding the paralyzing trap of analysis paralysis. Third, they wisely consult trusted advisors, seeking diverse perspectives while always maintaining ultimate decisional responsibility. Fourth, they establish firm decision deadlines, preventing indefinite deliberation, that insidious foe of action. Fifth, and finally, they commit fully once a decision has been made, channeling all their energy into implementation rather than succumbing to the corrosive habit of second-guessing. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, exceptional decision makers recognize that indecision itself constitutes a decision, and often the very worst possible one. As the wise Theodore Roosevelt once noted, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing, the next best thing is the wrong thing, and the worst thing you can do is nothing. Reflect honestly, my friends. How often do you postpone decisions, perpetually hoping for a perfect clarity that more often than not never truly arrives? How many invaluable opportunities have vanished while you hesitated, trapped in the quicksand of indecision? How much precious mental energy do you waste revisiting undecided matters, playing out endless scenarios in your mind? Your decision-making muscle, like any other, strengthens through deliberate exercise. Begin with smaller decisions, making them promptly and definitively. Then gradually graduate to more consequential choices, utilizing structured approaches like pro-con analysis or decision matrices to guide your thought process. With consistent practice, you will cultivate the decisive instinct that so profoundly characterizes exceptional leaders. The most empowering realization, my friends, is this: while you cannot control outcomes, you maintain absolute, undeniable sovereignty over your decisions. Will you exercise this profound power deliberately, with intention and purpose, or will you surrender it through passivity and procrastination? Your answer to this singular question may very well be the most important decision you ever make. Now let us speak of the strength of self-discipline. The distance, my friends, between aspiration and tangible achievement is bridged by a single powerful quality: self-discipline. While talent may open the door of possibility and strategy may provide a map for the journey, only disciplined execution, the consistent application of effort, transforms raw potential into living reality. This force, this profound ability to consistently choose long-term fulfillment over the fleeting allure of immediate gratification, is what truly separates those who merely dream from those who deliberately, consciously create their destinies. Self-discipline, my friends, operates as a keystone habit, a foundational practice that powerfully strengthens every other aspect of your performance. Neuroscience confirms this through illuminating studies of willpower, revealing it as a trainable resource, much like a muscle. Each disciplined choice you make, each act of conscious restraint, literally strengthens the neural pathways associated with focus and impulse control. This creates a virtuous cycle, a powerful feedback loop, where discipline begets greater discipline, compounding your capacity for achievement across all domains of your life. Consider the extraordinary Cecil Rhodes, born into a modest clergy family as one of 11 children. Rhodes arrived in South Africa at the tender age of 17, with fragile health and very limited resources. While others sought quick, ephemeral fortunes in the chaotic diamond fields, Rhodes methodically studied the industry, recognizing with profound foresight that consolidation would create unprecedented value. Despite setbacks that would have utterly derailed less disciplined individuals, including nearly fatal heart conditions, Rhodes systematically acquired claims and established De Beers, eventually controlling an astounding 90% of global diamond production. His disciplined persistence, my friends, extended far beyond the realm of business as he relentlessly pursued an education at Oxford despite his immense commercial responsibilities, ultimately establishing the Rhodes Scholarship, which continues to develop leaders over a century later. This precise pattern of disciplined persistence characterizes achievement across every domain imaginable. Olympic athletes maintain grueling training schedules regardless of motivational fluctuations. Writers dedicated to their craft produce pages daily, whether inspiration strikes or not. Entrepreneurs persist through innumerable rejections before finally experiencing their breakthrough. Their common denominator, my friends, is not some extraordinary, superhuman willpower, but rather ordinary willpower applied with extraordinary consistency. Self-discipline manifests through three essential practices. First, clarify your compelling purposes, those deep-seated reasons that make discipline meaningful, transformative, rather than merely mechanical. Connecting your daily actions to your deeper values creates intrinsic motivation, a powerful internal fuel that sustains effort even when willpower falters. Second, meticulously design your environments to make disciplined choices easier, almost inevitable. Removing temptations proves far more effective than repeatedly attempting to resist them through sheer force of will. Third, and crucially, develop robust recovery rituals that replenish your depleted willpower, that essential reservoir of self-control. Even elite performers, my friends, require strategic renewal through adequate sleep, nourishing nutrition, purposeful exercise, and periodic intentional disconnection. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, recognize that discipline is not about the elusive pursuit of perfection, but about the unwavering practice of persistence. The disciplined person is not immune to failure, to missteps, but they recover swiftly, maintaining forward momentum despite the inevitable setbacks that life throws their way. Reflect honestly, my friends. How often do you surrender worthy goals at the very first sign of difficulty, when the path becomes even slightly arduous? How frequently do momentary comforts, fleeting pleasures, derail your most important, most cherished commitments? What achievements, what profound contributions remain unrealized because discipline faltered precisely when determination should have deepened? Developing self-discipline begins with small, consistent victories. Meeting the alarm clock's first ring, completing promised tasks without reminders with unwavering integrity, maintaining commitments to yourself with the same unwavering fidelity you would show to others. These seemingly minor triumphs, my friends, cultivate the disciplined mind, the resilient spirit required for major achievement. The fundamental question is not whether you are capable of discipline, you are unequivocally, but whether you are truly willing to embrace the short-term discomfort, the temporary sacrifice, for the profound reward of long-term mastery. Will you continue surrendering to impulse, to the fleeting desires of the moment, or will you with unwavering resolve develop the disciplined character that makes achievement inevitable rather than merely occasional? Let us now embark on the journey of building unshakable confidence. At the very core of every extraordinary achievement, my friends, lies an invisible yet immensely powerful force, confidence that transcends all circumstance. While talent and strategy certainly matter, nothing, absolutely nothing, amplifies potential more powerfully than an unwavering, rock-solid belief in your own capabilities. This is not abstract psychology, my friends, but a practical, undeniable reality. Confidence physiologically alters performance, actively regulating stress hormones, optimizing cognitive function, and profoundly enhancing physical coordination. True confidence arises not from fleeting external validation, but from deep internal cultivation, a deliberate, conscious practice of personal trust building. Each time you honor a commitment to yourself, each time you confront a challenge directly or courageously recover from a setback, you are quite literally depositing invaluable evidence into your confidence reservoir. These accumulated experiences, these small victories, forge an unshakable self-trust and inner strength that will withstand all inevitable challenges that life throws your way. Consider the remarkable Richard Arkwright. Born the youngest of 13 children to impoverished parents, Arkwright received minimal formal education and began his life as a humble barber's apprentice. Despite lacking formal training, financial resources, or any social connections of note, he possessed an uncanny ability to recognize opportunities in textile manufacturing that others simply overlooked. When his early spinning frame prototypes faced not only skepticism but active resistance from threatened competitors, Arkwright, with unwavering conviction, persisted. His conviction, my friends, proved profoundly warranted. His revolutionary water frame utterly transformed textile production, establishing the very factory system that defined the Industrial Revolution and transforming Arkwright from a penniless barber to a knighted industrialist, a true titan of industry. This powerful pattern, my friends, repeats itself throughout the annals of history. Marie Curie, with indomitable will, pursued radioactivity research despite academic exclusion based solely on her gender. Henry Ford, with steadfast determination, continued refining the assembly line despite multiple business failures that would have crushed lesser spirits. Rosa Parks, with quiet dignity and profound courage, maintained her stance through civil disobedience despite systemic intimidation. Their common denominator, my friends, was not the absence of doubt, for doubt is a universal human experience, but their unwavering refusal to be defined by it. Building unshakable confidence, my friends, requires deliberate practice across 4 vital dimensions. First, develop confidence through deliberate skill building. Confidence without true capability becomes a dangerous delusion, a fragile house of cards. Second, maintain perspective through realistic optimism, acknowledging challenges with clear eyes while always focusing your energies on solutions rather than merely dwelling on problems. Third, Practice courageous action despite discomfort. Remember, my friends, confidence follows behavior. It rarely precedes it. Fourth, and finally, cultivate resilient self-talk, replacing internal criticism, that insidious inner saboteur, with supportive yet honest self-coaching. Reflect candidly, my friends. How often do you diminish your own capabilities through a self-limiting narrative, a story you tell yourself that simply isn't true? How frequently do you abandon worthy pursuits at the very first sign of difficulty, when the path becomes even slightly challenging? What might become possible if you approached challenges with an unshakable belief in your capacity to either succeed or, at the very least, to learn something profoundly valuable from the experience? Developing confidence, my friends, begins with the crucial act of identifying your inner saboteur, that voice that consistently underestimates your abilities and magnifies potential failures. When this voice surfaces, and it will, challenge it with irrefutable evidence of past successes, however modest, however small they may seem. Remember that true confidence accumulates gradually, meticulously, through consistent small victories, rather than being born in an occasional dramatic triumph. The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether you occasionally feel doubt, for everyone does, but whether you allow temporary uncertainty, fleeting apprehension, to dictate your permanent limitations. Will you continue surrendering to apprehension, allowing it to hold you captive? Or will you cultivate the courageous confidence that transforms aspirations into undeniable achievements? The world, my friends, indeed bends before those who approach it with unshakable confidence, not because reality miraculously changes, but because confident individuals persistently seek solutions where others see only insurmountable obstacles. Now let us embrace change, not as an adversary, but as a profound pathway to growth. Change arrives uninvited, yet it is utterly inevitable, transforming landscapes, disrupting equilibriums, and challenging our comfortable certainties. Many, perhaps most, instinctively resist these shifts, clinging desperately to familiar patterns, even when those patterns are clearly limiting them. Yet, history, with its undeniable lessons, reveals an unmistakable pattern, a recurring truth. Those who truly thrive are not necessarily the strongest, nor the most intelligent, but rather those who are most responsive, most adaptable to change. Adaptability, that profound capacity to adjust our beliefs, our behaviors, and our strategies in response to shifting realities, represents humanity's most essential evolutionary advantage. Consider the trials of Charles Goodyear, facing financial ruin after his hardware store failed during a crippling economic depression. Goodyear became utterly obsessed with solving rubber's fundamental flaw, its tendency to melt in summer heat and crack in winter cold. Despite having no formal chemistry training, accumulating mounting debts, and frequently enduring imprisonment for those very debts, Goodyear persisted through hundreds upon hundreds of failed experiments. His family often went hungry as he relentlessly redirected their scarce resources toward his singular obsession. After 5 years of relentless, unyielding experimentation, a fortuitous accident, the spilling of rubber mixed with sulfur onto a hot stove, revealed the vulcanization process, a discovery that utterly revolutionized manufacturing across the globe. Though Goodyear himself died $200,000 in debt, his unwavering willingness to embrace constant change and, crucially, to learn from failure, ultimately transformed transportation, industrial processes, and countless products that we rely upon to this very day. Neuroscience helps explain why change often provokes such strong resistance within us. Your brain, hardwired primarily for survival, inherently conserves energy by favoring established neural pathways, the comfortable routes. Novel situations trigger the amygdala's threat response, unleashing a cascade of stress hormones that narrow your thinking precisely when adaptability demands an expanded perspective. Yet, paradoxically, this same neuroplasticity, this inherent ability of your brain to rewire itself, represents your greatest strength, your most profound advantage. Each time you successfully navigate a change, each time you adapt and overcome, you are literally rewiring neural connections, making future adaptation progressively easier, more fluid. Growth, my friends, happens not despite discomfort, but precisely because of it. Just as physical muscles develop and strengthen through the stress of resistance training, cognitive and emotional resilience are forged through the challenging act of navigating unfamiliar territory. This explains why periods of greatest personal development typically coincide with significant life transitions, whether those changes are chosen by you or thrust upon you. 3 distinct practices distinguish those who master the art of leveraging change for profound growth. First, they cultivate mental flexibility through perspective taking, regularly challenging their ingrained assumptions and viewing situations through multiple diverse frames. Second, they develop emotional agility, acknowledging difficult feelings with honesty while preventing those emotions from dictating their behavior, from derailing their progress. Third, and crucially, they practice deliberate discomfort, intentionally seeking out growth-oriented challenges rather than passively waiting for change to arrive uninvited. Reflect honestly, my friends. How often do you resist necessary changes, even when they are clearly beneficial, simply out of fear? How frequently do you interpret challenges, those profound opportunities for growth, as mere threats to your comfort? What potential, what profound contributions remain dormant within you because you prioritize fleeting comfort over transformative evolution? The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether change will come, it always does, but whether you will harness its transformative potential, whether you will embrace it as a catalyst for your own magnificent growth. Will you continue resisting the inevitable, or will you embrace change as the very catalyst your growth requires? Now let us delve into the profound power of accountability. The fundamental difference, my friends, between those who merely dream and those who undeniably achieve, lies not in their inherent talents, nor in their fortunate opportunities, but in their unwavering commitment to accountability. This invisible force, this profound willingness to answer for your actions and your outcomes, transforms fleeting intentions into tangible, undeniable results. Without accountability, goals remain perpetually in progress, forever elusive. With it, they become inevitable achievements, a certainty. Accountability operates through 2 powerfully effective mechanisms. First, it creates a powerful psychological commitment, making abandonment of your goals far more difficult than perseverance. Second, it establishes crucial feedback loops that illuminate your blind spots and powerfully accelerate course corrections, keeping you on the path to success. Together, these mechanisms create the precise conditions where sustained progress becomes not just possible, but highly probable. Consider the methodical rise of John D. Rockefeller to unprecedented wealth. Beginning as a humble bookkeeper at the tender age of 16, Rockefeller demonstrated extraordinary accountability long before he accumulated extraordinary resources. While others in the chaotic early oil industry operated haphazardly, driven by impulse and chance, Rockefeller implemented rigorous accounting systems that meticulously tracked every cent spent and earned. His famous ledger books, which he maintained with meticulous precision throughout his life, recorded not only business transactions, but also personal expenditures, down to the smallest detail. This unwavering commitment to financial accountability revealed inefficiencies that were utterly invisible to his competitors, allowing Standard Oil to refine petroleum for 2.5 cents per gallon when competitors required 3 cents. A seemingly small difference, yet at scale, it created an overwhelming competitive advantage, an insurmountable lead. Rockefeller's profound accountability extended far beyond finances, encompassing his personal discipline with almost religious devotion. Rising precisely at 6:20 a.m. daily and maintaining meticulous habits, he approached self-accountability as a sacred duty. When asked about his success formula, Rockefeller famously emphasized, "I believe it is a religious duty to get all the money you can fairly and honestly to keep all you can." This comprehensive accountability framework transformed him from modest beginnings into history's first billionaire. 3 distinct practices, my friends, distinguish high accountability individuals. First, they meticulously create concrete measurement systems. Vague aspirations, those elusive wishes, become specific targets with clear metrics and unwavering timelines. Second, they establish supportive structures, whether accountability partners, trusted coaches, or public commitments that make retreat uncomfortable, even painful. Third, they implement regular review processes, systematically evaluating their progress and recalibrating their approaches based on undeniable results rather than mere intentions. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, high accountability individuals recognize that accountability is fundamentally internally motivated rather than externally imposed. While others view accountability as restrictive oversight, a burdensome yoke, high achievers embrace it as the profound freedom to determine their own outcomes rather than surrendering to circumstance or impulse. Reflect candidly, my friends, how many of your intentions, those grand aspirations, remain unrealized simply because they lack robust accountability framework. How often do you commit privately to improvements that silently fade into oblivion without consequences, without a structure to hold you to them? What might become possible if you surrounded each important goal, each worthy objective, with structures that unequivocally ensured its completion? Developing accountability, my friends, begins with simple yet profoundly effective practices. Writing your commitments down, making them tangible, sharing them with someone whose opinion you deeply value, someone who will hold you to your word, establishing specific review dates, non-negotiable check-ins, and creating meaningful consequences for both success and, crucially, for failure. These basic yet powerful structures create the precise conditions where honoring your commitments becomes easier, more natural than abandoning them. The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether accountability works. Evidence unequivocally confirms that it does. But whether you are truly willing to embrace the temporary discomfort of answering for your actions in order to access the permanent freedom of achieving your deepest aspirations. Will you continue setting goals without accountability mechanisms, virtually guaranteeing their abandonment? Or will you surround each worthy objective with robust structures, ensuring their completion? Remember, my friends, accountability is not the enemy of freedom. It is, in fact, its prerequisite. It is the structured path that leads to your most liberated, most empowered self. Let us now explore the profound importance of cultivating emotional intelligence. The most sophisticated form of intelligence, my friends, lies not merely in logical reasoning or technical expertise, but in understanding the nuanced, often intricate landscape of human emotion. While IQ may powerfully determine what you are capable of learning, emotional intelligence, your capacity to recognize, understand, manage, and effectively express emotions, determines how successfully you navigate relationships, workplace dynamics, and life's inevitable challenges. Emotional intelligence operates through four interconnected dimensions. Self-awareness forms the bedrock, the foundational ability to accurately identify your own emotional states and to deeply understand how they influence your thoughts and your behavior. Self-regulation builds powerfully upon this awareness, enabling you to manage your emotions productively rather than being controlled, hijacked by them. Social awareness extends your emotional perception outward, allowing you to recognize and deeply understand the emotions of others through empathetic understanding. And finally, relationship management integrates all these capabilities, wisely using emotional insights to build meaningful connections, to resolve conflicts constructively, and to foster true collaboration. Developing emotional intelligence begins with daily, consistent practices, pausing before responding to emotional triggers, creating space between impulse and action, naming your feelings with precise language, giving them form and understanding. Actively seeking feedback about your blind spots, those areas where you might be unaware of your emotional impact, and practicing perspective taking during disagreements, stepping into another's shoes to understand their emotional landscape. The mindful meditation practiced by many successful leaders specifically strengthens the neural connections between your prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational thought, and your amygdala, the emotional center, thereby enhancing your emotional regulation capacity. Neuroscience conclusively confirms the tangible impact of emotional intelligence. Brain imaging studies demonstrably show that emotionally intelligent individuals process emotional information through brain pathways that seamlessly integrate both rational and emotional centers, allowing for thoughtful, measured responses rather than impulsive reactions. This profound integration explains why emotional intelligence consistently predicts workplace performance more accurately than IQ or technical expertise across multiple studies, a testament to its power. Reflect honestly, my friends. How often do emotions, unchecked and unmanaged, hijack your best intentions, leading you astray? How frequently do you misinterpret the motives of others, leading to unnecessary friction and misunderstanding? What opportunities remain unrealized? What profound connections remain unmade? Because emotional reactions unchecked override reasoned responses. The critical question, my friends, is not whether emotional intelligence matters. Research conclusively demonstrates that it does. But whether you are truly willing to develop this vital capacity with the same dedication, the same focus you might apply to acquiring technical skills. Will you continue allowing unexamined emotions to dictate outcomes, to control your destiny, or will you cultivate the emotional intelligence that transforms challenging interactions into powerful opportunities for connection, for understanding, and for profound growth? Remember, my friends, those who master emotions master not just themselves, but the invisible forces that shape human interaction across every domain of life. Let us now build mental toughness, the ultimate determinant of achievement. It is not talent, nor mere opportunity, nor even brilliant strategy that stands as the ultimate arbiter of success. It is at its core mental toughness. This fundamental quality, this profound capacity to persist through adversity, to maintain unwavering focus despite myriad distractions, and to swiftly recover from setbacks, is what truly separates extraordinary performers from those who merely show fleeting potential. While physical strength visibly transforms bodies, mental toughness invisibly yet powerfully transforms outcomes across every domain of human endeavor. Mental toughness operates through four interconnected components. Control allows you to powerfully influence circumstances rather than merely being influenced by them. Commitment maintains your unwavering focus on your goals steadfastly despite all obstacles that arise. Challenge reframes adversity not as a paralyzing threat, but as a profound opportunity for growth and learning. And finally, confidence provides the self-belief, the inner conviction necessary to bravely confront difficulties rather than resorting to avoidance. Together, these elements create a powerful psychological resilience, an inner armor that withstands pressures that would utterly derail less prepared minds. Consider the extraordinary leadership of Ernest Shackleton during the Imperial Trans-Antarctic expedition. After their ship, the Endurance, became hopelessly trapped in pack ice and was eventually crushed, Shackleton led 27 men through a living nightmare scenario where survival seemed utterly impossible. For 1,407 grueling days, they endured temperatures plummeting to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, suffered from severe malnutrition, frostbite, and soul-crushing uncertainty. When hope began to diminish, Shackleton demonstrated unwavering optimism, famously telling his men, "Difficulties are just things to overcome." When provisions dwindled, he personally sacrificed his own portions, leading by example. When rescue necessitated crossing 800 miles of treacherous Antarctic waters in a modified lifeboat, Shackleton himself led the perilous journey. His mental toughness, my friends, manifested not just in his personal endurance, but in his unwavering ability to maintain morale, a feat that kept every single expedition member alive against astronomical odds. Developing mental toughness begins with deliberate discomfort, strategically exposing yourself to challenges that purposefully expand your psychological limits. Olympic swimmers, for instance, train in intentionally adverse conditions, pushing their boundaries. Special forces candidates endure sleep deprivation to forge mental resilience, building their capacity under extreme pressure. While these are extreme examples, my friends, their underlying principle remains universally true: comfort is the enemy of growth. Each time you voluntarily embrace difficulty, whether it be physical challenges, intellectual struggles, or emotional discomfort, you are profoundly expanding your capacity to handle future adversity, strengthening your inner reserves. Neuroscience conclusively confirms that mental toughness can be systematically developed. Research clearly shows that deliberate stress exposure, carefully combined with periods of recovery, creates psychological adaptation remarkably similar to how muscles strengthen through resistance and repair. This explains why individuals who regularly confront challenges develop greater emotional regulation, optimize their stress responses, and exhibit enhanced performance under pressure. 3 distinct practices, my friends, distinguish mentally tough individuals. First, they develop constructive self-talk, replacing catastrophic interpretations, those worst-case scenarios, with realistic assessments and solution-focused thinking. Second, they practice intentional breathing and physiological control during moments of stress, actively regulating their autonomic responses rather than being hijacked by them. Third, they powerfully visualize success through adversity, mentally rehearsing effective responses to potential obstacles even before they encounter them, preparing their minds for triumph. Reflect honestly, my friends. How often do you abandon worthy pursuits at the first significant resistance when the road becomes difficult? How frequently do you instinctively seek comfort when true growth, true expansion demands discomfort? What might become possible? What incredible feats might you achieve if you develop the unwavering mental toughness to persist when others, lesser minds, would simply quit? The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether mental toughness works. History conclusively demonstrates that it does. But whether you are truly willing to systematically develop this capacity through deliberate exposure to progressively challenging experiences. Will you continue avoiding necessary discomfort, clinging to the familiar, the easy, or will you cultivate the mental toughness that transforms inevitable obstacles from stopping points into powerful stepping stones, propelling you forward? Remember, my friends, mental toughness is not about never feeling fear, pain, or doubt. It is about advancing resolutely despite them. Let us now consider the profound art of delayed gratification. The fundamental divide, my friends, between extraordinary achievement and perpetual mediocrity often comes down to a deceptively simple choice: the unwavering willingness to sacrifice immediate pleasure for superior future rewards. While our neurological wiring, a legacy of our evolutionary history, naturally gravitates toward instant gratification, mastering delayed gratification represents perhaps the most powerful predictor of long-term success across all domains of human endeavor. Consider the life of Benjamin Franklin, a true polymath. While many of his contemporaries pursued immediate pleasures, Franklin systematically developed himself through rigorous daily routines, a testament to his discipline. Rising promptly at 5:05 a.m., he dedicated his precious early hours to learning and self-improvement before ever beginning his daily work. Rather than spending his earnings on ephemeral luxuries, he wisely reinvested in printing equipment which multiplied his capabilities and expanded his reach. While others sought immediate social approval, Franklin diligently practiced his 13 virtues methodically, focusing on one each week, building his character with unwavering intention. His famous statement, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest," perfectly encapsulated his philosophy of sacrificing present comfort for future capacity, a profound insight. Franklin's commitment to delayed gratification extended far beyond his personal development, reaching into his profound civic contributions. He established America's first lending library even when immediate financial returns would have come from keeping books privately for profit. He steadfastly refused to patent his inventions even when immediate profit was readily available, choosing a greater good. He spent years abroad, enduring separation and hardship to secure crucial French support for American independence rather than enjoying a comfortable retirement. This consistent pattern of sacrificing immediate rewards, of choosing the harder, longer path, created a legacy spanning science, politics, publishing, and diplomacy, achievements that would have been utterly impossible without such disciplined patience. The practice of delayed gratification requires developing 3 key capacities. First, future visualization, creating vivid, compelling mental representations of your long-term benefits, making them so emotionally resonant that they powerfully outweigh immediate temptations. Second, impulse interruption, skillfully inserting a crucial space, a momentary pause between stimulus and response through techniques like the simple yet powerful 10-second rule. Third, environment design, meticulously structuring your surroundings to make disciplined choices easier, almost inevitable, by strategically removing immediate temptations. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, recognize that delayed gratification becomes powerfully self-reinforcing. Each time you successfully prioritize future rewards over immediate pleasures, you strengthen both the neural pathways supporting this capacity and your unwavering belief in your ability to exercise. This creates a powerful positive momentum that transforms isolated choices into profound lifelong patterns of success. Reflect honestly, my friends, how often do investment opportunities, those pathways to future abundance, remain unexplored simply because they require an upfront sacrifice, a period of discomfort? How frequently do immediate comforts, fleeting indulgences derail your long-term health, financial or professional goals, those true aspirations? What potential, what profound achievements remain unrealized because gratification delayed feels to your immediate senses like gratification denied? The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether delayed gratification works. Research conclusively demonstrates that it does, but whether you are truly willing to embrace temporary discomfort for superior, enduring long-term outcomes. Will you continue prioritizing what feels good momentarily, yielding to every impulse? Or will you cultivate the profound patience that transforms ordinary potential into extraordinary achievement, into a legacy? Let us now consider the profound act of building a legacy that truly lasts. Legacy, my friends, transcends mere achievement. It extends far beyond tangible accomplishments to the enduring ripple effect impact you create in lives, in organizations, and in communities. While accolades may fade with time and possessions will inevitably diminish, legacy persists through transformed lives and perpetuated values living on through generations. This profound footprint, this lasting mark, represents the ultimate measure of a life well lived. Not what you accumulate for yourself, but what you contribute that continues to influence generations far beyond your own time. In an era when industrial exploitation was standard practice, Cadbury could have easily pursued profit alone, yielding to the prevailing winds. Instead, he infused his deep Quaker values into every single business decision, holding the unwavering belief that commercial success and profound social responsibility were inseparable companions rather than competing interests. While his contemporaries ruthlessly exploited workers, Cadbury pioneered revolutionary working conditions, establishing healthcare benefits, providing educational programs, and eventually building the visionary Bourneville Village, complete with quality housing, parks, recreational facilities, and schools for his employees and their families, a true testament to his values. This unwavering commitment to human dignity was not merely philanthropic window dressing, it was foundational to Cadbury's entire business philosophy, his very soul. He famously stated that business had both a soul and a body, and that the soul was by far the most important of the two. Despite facing competitive disadvantages due to these significant investments in his workforce, Cadbury maintained the unwavering conviction that ethical operation would ultimately create sustainable advantage, a long-term triumph. History, my friends, powerfully validated his conviction. Cadbury's principled approach attracted exceptional talent, fostered remarkable innovation, built unwavering consumer trust, and established a corporate culture that propelled the company's success long after his passing. Building a lasting legacy requires cultivating four interconnected dimensions. First, a values legacy, identifying, articulating, and consistently demonstrating core principles that powerfully guide all your decisions. Second, a relationship legacy, investing deeply in meaningful connections that profoundly transform lives through mentorship, through guidance, and through authentic, unwavering presence. Third, an institutional legacy, creating or strengthening organizations that perpetuate positive impact far beyond your direct involvement, extending your reach. Fourth, and finally, a knowledge legacy, developing and generously sharing wisdom that empowers others to build upon your contributions, extending your influence through generations. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, recognize that legacy building happens daily through seemingly minor choices rather than through occasional grand gestures. Each interaction, no matter how brief, either reinforces or undermines the values you hope to perpetuate, shaping your impact. Each decision you make either strengthens or weakens the institutions you hope will continue your profound work. Each relationship you cultivate either transmits or dilutes the wisdom you've meticulously accumulated throughout your life. Reflect honestly, my friends. What values are your daily actions truly embodying, truly broadcasting to the world? Which organizations or communities are undeniably stronger, more vibrant, because of your direct involvement, your unique contribution? Who among those you influence is developing more fully, blossoming into their potential because of your profound influence, your unwavering guidance? What wisdom, what invaluable insights are you systematically transferring, ensuring it will outlast your direct contribution, living on beyond you? The profound question, my friends, is not what you will accumulate, nor what you will achieve for yourself, but what will undeniably remain when you are gone, when your time on this earth has concluded. Will your impact diminish rapidly after your departure, fading into obscurity, or will it continue rippling outward, an ever-expanding wave, through the lives, the organizations, and the communities you have so meaningfully shaped, so profoundly transformed? Legacy building begins with clarifying a purpose that transcends mere personal success, identifying contributions uniquely aligned with your values, your strengths, and your profound opportunities. It continues through deliberate investment in relationships and institutions that can faithfully perpetuate these contributions, extending your reach far beyond your grasp. It culminates, my friends, in creating self-sustaining impact, a powerful force that continues to grow, to flourish. Without your direct involvement, will you focus exclusively on achievements measured within your own lifetime, fleeting triumph, or will you cultivate the patience, the vision, and the profound generosity required to build something truly enduring, something that will echo through the ages? Let us now master the art of time management. Time, my friends, stands as life's ultimate equalizer, offering precisely 24 hours daily to every human being, regardless of their wealth, their status, or their ambition. Yet some individuals extract extraordinary value from this fixed allocation, maximizing every precious moment, while others squander it on activities yielding minimal return, allowing it to slip through their fingers. The profound difference lies not in having more time, for that is an impossibility, but in deploying it with strategic precision, transforming this finite resource into a powerful competitive advantage through deliberate conscious management. Time management operates as both a precise science and a subtle art. The science involves systematic approaches to organization, to meticulous planning, to rigorous prioritization, and to the ruthless elimination of non-essential activities, those distractions that steal your hours. The art, my friends, involves recognizing which moments deserve expansion, which require deep, focused attention, and which warrant compression, swift and decisive action. It is the profound understanding that true value derives not merely from efficiency, from doing things quickly, but from effectiveness in directing your precious hours toward meaningful contribution, toward the creation of something of lasting worth. Consider the extraordinary productivity of Thomas Jefferson across domains that typically demand singular focus. While serving as America's third president, as ambassador to France, and as Secretary of State, Jefferson simultaneously pursued architecture, invented numerous devices that shaped his world, mastered multiple languages, maintained extensive correspondence with a vast network, and authored works that profoundly shaped the foundations of democracy itself. This was not merely the result of innate talent, my friends, but of deliberate, meticulous time management. Jefferson's system included rising at dawn, dividing his day into carefully defined increments, and maintaining meticulous records of his time allocation, a precise accounting of every minute. He famously stated, "The sun has not caught me in bed in 50 years, a testament to his discipline." Rather than approaching time casually as a mere given, Jefferson treated it with the same rigorous precision he applied to his scientific experiments, tirelessly testing approaches, meticulously measuring results, and constantly refining his methods based on tangible outcomes. Effective time management, my friends, requires developing 4 interconnected practices. First, value clarification, identifying what genuinely matters most to you, distinguishing it from what merely appears urgent, what screams for your immediate attention. Second, intentional allocation, meticulously designing your calendar, your very days, to powerfully reflect your highest priorities, rather than merely succumbing to the expectations of others. Third, focused execution, developing the unwavering discipline to maintain deep concentration to achieve flow despite the constant barrage of distractions. Fourth, and finally, strategic renewal, recognizing that truly effective time management paradoxically requires building in recovery periods, intentional moments of rest and replenishment that powerfully restore your mental resources. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, recognize that time management serves a meaningful purpose far beyond mere efficiency. The objective, the ultimate goal, is not to become a soulless productivity machine, but to create the precious space, the necessary freedom for what truly matters most in your life. Deep relationships, meaningful work that ignites your soul, profound personal growth, and contributions that will powerfully outlast your lifetime. Reflect honestly, my friends, how often does your calendar, that roadmap of your days, reflect the priorities of others rather than your own deepest aspirations? How frequently do low-value activities, those time wasters, consume countless hours while high-impact opportunities, those true levers of change, remain unexplored, unpursued? What potential contributions, what profound impact remains unrealized simply because time flows through your life unmanaged, undirected? The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether time passes, it inevitably does, relentlessly, but whether it passes purposefully, with intention and direction. Will you continue allowing external demands and internal distractions to fragment your precious attention, scattering your energies? Or will you develop the disciplines that transform time from a relentless enemy into a powerful, loyal ally, a servant to your highest aims? Remember, my friends, mastering time management does not constrain your freedom, it profoundly creates it. It establishes the structured foundation upon which meaningful achievement becomes not just possible, but absolutely inevitable. Now let us consider the profound importance of strategic thinking. Strategic thinking, my friends, transcends mere planning. It represents the powerful capacity to envision possibilities far beyond your immediate circumstances, while simultaneously orchestrating your resources and actions toward deliberate, predetermined outcomes. While tactical thinkers focus intently on executing immediate tasks effectively, strategic thinkers perceive intricate interconnections, anticipate future consequences with remarkable foresight, and position themselves advantageously for opportunities not yet visible to others, opportunities lurking just beyond the horizon. This essential distinction, my friends, powerfully explains why equally talented individuals often achieve dramatically different results in life. Tactical thinking reacts to circumstances, a response to what strategic thinking, however, actively creates circumstances, shaping what will be. Tactical thinking addresses present problems, extinguishing immediate fires. Strategic thinking, by contrast, prevents them, building systems that make problems obsolete. Tactical thinking maximizes current resources, making the most of what is on hand. Strategic thinking develops future capabilities that will utterly transform competitive landscapes, creating entirely new paradigms. Consider the extraordinary impact of Andrew W. Mellon on American industry. Beginning as a judge's son in Pittsburgh, Mellon profoundly transformed banking practices by financing businesses others overlooked, particularly those positioned at the crucial inflection points of emerging industries. While conventional bankers rigidly followed established patterns, clinging to the familiar, Mellon methodically studied industrial evolution, identifying aluminum, steel, oil, and shipbuilding as sectors poised for exponential transformative growth. His decisive choice to finance Alcoa represented not merely menor investment, but a strategic bet, a powerful wager on aluminum's profound potential to revolutionize multiple industries simultaneously. Mellon's strategic brilliance extended far beyond individual investments, encompassing synergistic portfolios, creating complementary holdings that powerfully strengthened each component's position within the larger ecosystem. When serving as Treasury Secretary under 3 presidents, Mellon again demonstrated unparalleled strategic foresight, implementing tax policies and debt reduction strategies that powerfully facilitated America's unprecedented economic expansion during the 1920s. Even his art acquisitions, a passion that consumed him, reflected strategic thinking as he systematically collected masterpieces that eventually became the magnificent foundation of the National Gallery of Art. Developing strategic thinking, my friends, requires cultivating four interconnected capacities. First, a systems perspective, the crucial ability to recognize how components interact, how everything is connected, rather than viewing elements in isolation as disconnected parts. Second, pattern recognition, the keen insight to identify recurring dynamics that reveal underlying trends and powerful principles, seeing the forest for the trees. Third, scenario planning, mentally simulating various futures, playing out different possibilities to thoroughly prepare for multiple contingencies, to be ready for anything. Fourth and finally, disciplined patience, maintaining a long-term orientation and unwavering vision, despite intense pressure for immediate results, for instant gratification. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, recognize that strategic thinking simultaneously embraces paradoxes that tactical thinking attempts to resolve prematurely, often to its detriment. Strategic thinkers master the delicate balance of stability with adaptability, of short-term performance with long-term capability, of rigorous analysis with intuitive insight, and of global perspective with precise local implementation. They possess the profound understanding that either-or thinking creates vulnerability, limiting possibilities, while both-and thinking creates powerful resilience, expanding your capacity. Reflect honestly, my friends. How frequently do urgent matters, those immediate demands, displace truly important ones in your precious attention, stealing your focus? How often do immediate opportunities, fleeting gains, divert you from far more significant, enduring long-term advantages? What possibilities, what profound innovations remain unexplored simply because you are fixated on executing today's meticulously laid plan rather than boldly designing tomorrow's, envisioning a new future? The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether strategic thinking matters. History conclusively demonstrates that it does, shaping destinies and empires, but whether you are truly willing to develop this profound capacity by dedicating time for deep reflection, by diligently studying systems, by meticulously examining patterns, and by cultivating the unwavering patience required to position yourself advantageously for opportunities not yet visible to others, opportunities that await your strategic vision. Remember, my friends, strategic thinking is not merely about having foresight, about seeing what might be. It is about actively creating the present conditions that make your desired future not just possible, but undeniably probable. Let us now confront one of humanity's most ancient adversaries and embrace its antidote, overcoming fear and embracing courage. Fear, my friends, stands as humanity's most ancient emotional response, a primal survival mechanism that powerfully protected our ancestors from legitimate dangers, from lurking predators. But today, tragically, it often prevents modern humans from pursuing meaningful growth, from seizing opportunities that would enrich their lives. While fear once saved us from physical threats, today it frequently robs us of opportunities, of enriching relationships, and of profound achievements that define a fully lived life, a life of purpose and fulfillment. The neuroscience of fear reveals its often deceptive nature. When confronting uncertain situations, your amygdala, that ancient part of your brain, triggers a cascade of stress hormones, preparing you for immediate fight or flight. Even before your prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational thought, can rationally evaluate the actual risk involved. This evolutionary wiring creates a persistent illusion, making imagined consequences feel far more threatening than they truly are in reality. Understanding this biological reality transforms how we interpret fear's presence, not as irrefutable evidence of impending danger, but as powerful confirmation that you are courageously expanding beyond your comfortable limitations, pushing your boundaries. Consider the extraordinary journey of Elizabeth Blackwell toward becoming America's first female physician. When she applied to medical schools in 1847, she faced rejection from an astounding 29 institutions before Geneva Medical College finally and somewhat reluctantly admitted her, and then only because the male students believed her application was a practical joke, a cruel prank. Throughout her rigorous training, she endured systematic exclusion from demonstrations, from crucial patient interactions, and from professional respect, facing relentless prejudice. Contemporary physicians publicly declared women physically and intellectually incapable of medical practice, while societal voices warned her that her pursuit was not merely difficult but morally wrong, a violation of established norms. Blackwell's response, my friends, perfectly exemplifies authentic courage, acknowledging fear's presence without ever surrendering to its paralyzing grip. She later wrote of experiencing a certain awe and fear throughout her journey, yet she proceeded resolutely despite trembling, despite the inner turmoil. After graduating first in her class in 1849, she established the New York Infirmary for Women and Children, founded the first medical school for women, and profoundly transformed medical education internationally, all while experiencing the very same fears that would have utterly paralyzed less courageous individuals. Developing courage, my friends, requires three interconnected practices. First, perspective expansion, recognizing that fear's whispers often wildly exaggerate consequences while simultaneously minimizing your inherent capacity to bravely handle them. Second, gradual exposure, systematically confronting smaller fears, those manageable challenges, to build your courage muscles for larger, more formidable challenges that lie ahead. Third, purpose connection, powerfully anchoring your courageous action to values and contributions that matter far more than momentary comfort, giving your courage a deeper meaning. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, understand that courage is not fearlessness. It is, in its purest form, action despite fear. The truly courageous experience the very same physiological responses as everyone else: racing heartbeats, butterflies in the stomach, catastrophic thoughts swirling in their minds. But they steadfastly refuse to allow these temporary sensations to determine their permanent limitations, to define their destiny. Reflect honestly, my friends. How many opportunities have you abandoned, not because they were genuinely impossible, but simply because they felt uncomfortable, challenging your comfort zone? What potential contributions, what profound acts of creation remain unexpressed because fear whispered that they were too difficult, too risky, too uncertain? What might become possible if you acknowledged fear's presence without ever granting it decision-making authority, without letting it control your choices? The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether fear will appear. It inevitably will whenever you approach meaningful growth, whenever you step outside your comfort zone. But whether you'll treat it as an insurmountable barrier, a stopping point, or simply as information, a signal that you're on the right path. Will you continue allowing fear to define your boundaries, to limit your world, or will you develop the profound courage that transforms fear from a prison guard into simply an uncomfortable companion on your journey toward an expanded, more vibrant life? Remember, my friends, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it, the unwavering decision to act despite it. The richest possibilities in your life, your deepest desires, eagerly await you on the other side of fear's illusory barriers. Now let us consider the vital importance of building strong relationships and powerful networks. The pervasive myth of the self-made individual, that lone wolf, obscures a fundamental, undeniable truth, my friends. Extraordinary achievement emerges not through isolation, but through profound connection. Behind every remarkable success story, every groundbreaking innovation, lies an invisible web of relationships, mentors who guided, colleagues who collaborated, and networks that amplified individual capacity into collective impact, a force far greater than the sum of its parts. Your ability to cultivate these vital connections represents perhaps your most valuable professional asset, your most powerful resource in life. Relationship capital operates on three distinct levels. Operational connections provide immediate resources and opportunities, facilitating your daily tasks. Strategic relationships offer profound wisdom, invaluable perspective, and crucial guidance that powerfully shapes your decision-making, setting your trajectory. Transformational connections, the deepest of all, challenge your ingrained assumptions and expand your possibilities far beyond current paradigms, pushing the boundaries of what you believe is possible. The most successful individuals deliberately develop all three types, understanding their unique contributions and leveraging them for maximum impact. Consider the extraordinary rise of Henry Clay Frick from modest beginnings to industrial type. Beginning as a bookkeeper in his grandfather's distillery, Frick recognized early on that true advancement required more than mere technical skill. It demanded strategic relationship development, a cultivation of human connection. His careful cultivation of crucial banking relationships provided the vital financing for his initial Coke operations when competitors struggled to secure capital, giving him an undeniable edge. His powerful alliance with Andrew Carnegie, a strategic masterstroke, transformed both their trajectories, combining Frick's operational expertise in Coke production with Carnegie's steel manufacturing to create unprecedented vertical integration, a powerful industrial machine. Frick's networking extended far beyond immediate business circles, deliberately encompassing political, cultural, and financial spheres of influence, building a vast web of connections. His relationships with influential figures like banker Andrew Mellon and political leader Mark Hanna created invaluable information channels that provided a powerful competitive advantage through early awareness of economic shifts, regulatory changes, and emerging market opportunities. While his competitors merely reacted to developments caught off guard, Frick positioned himself powerfully ahead of them through meticulous strategic relationship cultivation. Building powerful networks requires developing four interconnected practices. First, authentic curiosity, demonstrating a genuine, sincere interest in others' experiences, their perspectives, and their unique expertise rather than merely seeking instrumental connection, a transactional exchange. Second, consistent value creation, actively contributing meaningfully to others' success before expecting reciprocal benefit, sowing seeds of goodwill. Third, strategic introduction, thoughtfully connecting individuals whose collaboration creates profound mutual advantage, acting as a bridge builder. Fourth, and finally, relationship maintenance, diligently nurturing connections through regular, meaningful contact, rather than merely transactional interactions that occur only when needs arise, when something is wanted. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, recognize that relationship building is a continuous process of cultivation rather than merely occasional harvesting. The most powerful networks emerge from consistent, selfless investment in relationships, even when you don't immediately need anything, creating vast reserves of goodwill and deep connection that become readily available during those inevitable challenges that require profound collaboration. Reflect honestly, my friends. How often do you approach networking as a genuine opportunity for mutual growth and profound connection, rather than a mere transactional exchange, a means to an end? How frequently do you invest in diligently maintaining your existing connections versus relentlessly pursuing new ones, always chasing the next contact? What opportunities, what profound insights remain unexplored, simply because your network lacks diversity across industries, backgrounds, or perspectives, limiting your viewpoint? The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether relationship capital matters. Research conclusively demonstrates that it does, powerfully shaping destinies, but whether you are truly willing to approach it with the same strategic intention you apply to all your other professional assets, recognizing its immense value. Will you continue viewing relationships as fortunate accidents, as mere happenstance, or will you deliberately cultivate the constellation of connections that transforms individual capacity into profound collective achievement, a force multiplier? Remember, my friends, networks don't merely reflect your net worth. They powerfully determine what becomes possible through combined capability, through shared information, and through mutual support that transcends individual limitation, achieving the impossible together. Finally, let us embrace the profound principle of lifelong learning. The dividing line, my friends, between continual relevance and inevitable obsolescence lies in one's unwavering commitment to perpetual learning, a ceaseless pursuit of knowledge. While formal education may conclude, genuine learning never does. It transforms from an institutional requirement into a powerful personal revolution, from an external expectation into an internal imperative, a burning desire. Those who wholeheartedly embrace this principle don't merely adapt to changing landscapes, they anticipate them, they shape them, becoming architects of the future. Learning operates through neurological transformation, literally rewiring the neural pathways in your brain through deliberate practice and continuous exposure to new information. Each time you acquire new knowledge or develop new skills, you are not simply accumulating information, you are fundamentally restructuring your cognitive architecture, building a more powerful mind. This neuroplasticity, this inherent adaptability of your brain, explains why continuous learning creates compounding returns, multiplying your insights. Each new insight, each new piece of understanding connects with your existing knowledge, creating exponential rather than merely linear growth in understanding, a geometric progression of wisdom. Cultivating lifelong learning requires developing 4 interconnected practices. First, structured curiosity, systematically exploring domains far beyond your current expertise rather than merely deepening your existing knowledge, expanding your horizons. Second, deliberate application, immediately implementing new insights, putting them into practice rather than treating learning as a purely theoretical exercise, making it real. Third, reflective documentation, meticulously capturing your observations and conclusions, building personal knowledge repositories, your own library of wisdom. Fourth, and finally, knowledge sharing, generously teaching others, solidifying your own understanding through the act of articulation and contribution. Perhaps most importantly, my friends, recognize that learning transcends formal contexts. It emerges powerfully through everyday conversations, through lived experiences, through invaluable failures, and through deep, honest reflection. The most powerful insights often appear not in sterile classrooms, but in moments of genuine curiosity followed by systematic investigation, a quest for truth. Reflect honestly, my friends. How often do you approach each new day as a profound opportunity for deliberate growth, for conscious expansion, rather than merely as a vehicle for productivity, for task completion? How frequently do you venture beyond your comfortable expertise into domains that powerfully challenge your existing assumptions, pushing you to new frontiers? What potential, what profound discoveries remains undiscovered simply because learning has become incidental, accidental rather than intentional and purposeful? The fundamental question, my friends, is not whether learning matters. History conclusively demonstrates that it does, powering progress and innovation, but whether you'll approach it with the strategic intention it so profoundly deserves. Will you continue treating knowledge acquisition as an occasional necessity, something to be done only when required, or will you embrace the transformative power of perpetual learning, a lifelong journey that turns ordinary potential into extraordinary impact, into a legacy of wisdom? Remember, my friends, in a world of accelerating change, the only sustainable advantage lies not in what you currently know, but in how rapidly and effectively you can learn what you don't yet understand. So I implore you, my friends, raise your standard, demand excellence from yourself, and watch with unwavering conviction as your life transforms before your very eyes, reaching heights you once only dreamed possible.